All right, we are now recording. So we just want to welcome you and thank you for coming to meet with us today to hear about what third grade will look like as we enter into the distance learning model to start off the school year. I would like to introduce myself. I am Amy Kaler, and I am the coordinator for Star Academy. If you are not, or if you're new to Natoma Charter, coordinators are the principals of the different academies. With me today, I have the third grade team, and then I also have Mrs. Donato, who will go ahead and introduce herself.
Hi, I'm Francesca Donato. I'm the educational specialist at Star Academy. I work with students who have special needs, 504s, IEPs, gifted and talented. I've been with NCS for 9 years, and I've been teaching over 20 years at this point.
And then I have the third grade team. Joanna, do you want to go ahead and start or introduce yourself?
Hi everyone, I am Joanna Caraballo. This will be my third year at Star Academy, so I'm excited to meet you all.
Chris, do you want to introduce yourself? Oh, it's not unmuting. Well, good. Danielle, do you want to introduce yourself while Chris gets it to turn the mute off?
I'm sorry. I was having a technical difficulty. My apologies. Hi, everyone. I'm Krista Hillig, and I'm really excited to get the year started. I've been at Star Academy since Star Academy opened in 2016, so it's nice to see you all.
Danielle, you want to say it?
Okay. Hi, I'm Danielle Monroy. This is also my third year at Star. I'm really excited to get this school year started, and it's nice to see faces. So yeah.
And then Dana.
Hi, I am Dana Perez. This will be my second year teaching at Star Academy, and this is my 8th year teaching, and I'm so excited to see all of you and meet all of you soon.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and I am going to get into the presentation for tonight, and we're going to go through what third grade will look like in distance learning. And then I just have a few overall things that I'm going to share with you guys, and then I will turn it over to them. So it'll just take just a second.
And while we're waiting, if you have questions, you can post them in the chat. If it's something generic to Star, I can answer it for you, or if I already have that information. If not, I'll save the questions and I'll go back and address the third grade team when they're done presenting.
Thank you. All right, so going ahead, third grade distance learning plan. Let's get started. So to start off this year, our theme is Brave Leaders, Superstar Learners. And this year is going to be very dynamic, and it's going to take our teachers and staff being brave and trying new things, and our learners to continue to be superstars with what they are doing. They are also navigating a new platform with being all virtual, especially at the beginning of the school year. Most students are used to being in school in person, so we will work together, and we're all going to be strong and do our best. And during this time, our teachers are going to make sure that they're using strong instructional practices. They will be working with curriculum that is standards-based. And through this, we are also going to be navigating flexibility. That is going to be our #1 word this year as we try new things and figure out what works, what doesn't work, and it's really going to take a collaboration of all of us together to figure that out. Another important part is that we are going to continue to work to build our community using new ideas in new forums, since we won't be in person. And more than anything, we want to provide a stable and learning environment for our students and families to be successful during this time. So getting the year started, the beginning of the school year, we're going to welcome you back. We are going to be doing a Meet the Teacher and materials pickup the first 3 days of school. So starting next week on Wednesday, August the 12th through next Friday, the 14th, we are going to be, our teachers will be scheduling individual appointments with each of you to have an in-person meeting where you will get kind of a rundown of how to support your child for third grade. While you're at home, you'll get all the materials that they'll need. You'll get your technology, so that way you're ready to go for full instruction to start on August 17th. If you are not comfortable with coming in person, we will also offer the option of being virtual and setting up a virtual appointment with your teacher, followed by a drive-through pickup of all the materials your child will need. So be looking out for teachers communicating with you to schedule those appointments. Additionally, at the beginning of the school year, we always do assessments to see where our students are at so we can provide the best instruction for them. So during the first couple of weeks of school, students will be taking a diagnostic on iReady. They will do a reading diagnostic and a math diagnostic, and we'll have more information about that and how you can navigate it at home. Teachers might also be scheduling some one-on-one assessment depending on what information they need. And then another thing that I wanted to note was during our All-Star Academy meeting, probably about 2 weeks ago now, some of the feedback we got was that we have a very rigid schedule, which people appreciate. However, knowing that everybody's navigating different lives at home with supporting multiple students, also doing their job, that we need to have some flexibility. And that's flexibility throughout the day, but a big area of concern was actually lunch times, especially if you have multiple students. Lunches are scheduled at different times, and we're going to continue to keep it that way as we move into the hybrid model. We want to be consistent. However, we're going to provide you the flexibility that if you need to take a lunch at a different time, or for whatever reason, your child's not able to log into the instruction at the live streaming time, that there will be flexibility where you can still access the lesson that was taught, and then also the assignments, so that you can do it at your own time within the week or within that day. So if you miss a reading lesson, you'll be able to go in and access that and the stuff that needs to be completed by your student. If you're going to make up that work in the afternoon or evening, you will have the ability to do that. But we know that we need to have some of that flexibility, and that's why we'll be recording stuff so that you have that opportunity. And we also know that every student every single day might not be able to be in every single virtual part. So that's where we're building a structure where they can still access recordings of the lesson that was taught and their materials. And the teachers will have more information for you on that a little bit farther in this presentation, but even beyond that when you meet them in person. And always feel free to reach out to them if you need some more of that flexibility so that they know what's going on and they can best support you. The next thing is back to school night. This year, or usually back to school night happens within the first 2 weeks of school. This year, since we will be virtual, what we've decided is to hold off on our back to school night until we move into the hybrid model. At that time, we will do a back to campus night, and we will give you all the information you will need about hybrid, because right now we're really focusing on the distance learning piece. And that's a lot of information that's going to be coming out to you. And we're going to see how that goes to help inform our hybrid model and be able to dial stuff in so we can give you the most up-to-date information at that back to campus night. The other thing is technology. So technology will be passed out to your students at your individual appointments on the 12th, 13th, or 14th of August. Third grade students will be getting Chromebooks. If you need a Chromebook, they requested, or I think it was on August 3rd, Laura Burial sent out a survey to families, and it's just really a Google form, and you need to put in there what technology that you will need, and then we'll make sure that you get it at that appointment. If you did not receive that email, I will be also sharing that link with you in my email to families on Friday of this week. So it will be posted there too. Another thing that we usually do at the start of the school year is ask for a donation for supplies. And so this year we're going to continue to ask for a $35 donation, $5 going towards art, and the $30 going towards the teacher for supplies for the whole school year. We do know that this is a dynamic time and some people don't have the ability to do this donation. We completely understand. Your child will still receive all the materials that they need, but if you are able to make that donation, it would be greatly appreciated, as we are having to buy supplies for at home for every single student for 600 students. And then when we move into hybrid, we're going to buy another set of individual supplies for every single student. With the supplies, or with the supply donation, if you're wanting to or able to make that donation, you can go on to My School Bucks. The link is on our Star Academy website, or you can still make out a check to NAEP and bring it into the front office. The supplies that the students will be receiving during their individual appointment will be crayons, pencils, colored pencils, a pencil sharpener, and erasers. So we know that every student has the tools that they need to begin on Monday, August the 17th with the formal regular day of instruction. All right, before the third grade teachers go into telling you what a day will look like in third grade, one thing that we came up with was the Learn, Do, Connect model for Natomas Charter School. And this really helps describe and break down what those live or partial live times will look like for your students. It's not going to be the teacher up in front of the class virtually for 3 hours straight just talking at the students. It's actually going to be broken up in between these three elements. And this is what you would see if you were actually in a classroom. So we're modeling those practices in the virtual setting. So for the learning part, this is when students come together, whether as a whole class, a small group, or individually with the teacher, to learn and be instructed in a subject matter. So whether it's reading, writing, math, science, social studies, it could be through live instruction or recording, but it's telling them how to do something. So it's that learning part. They're learning about Greek civilization, or they're learning about the 7 continents, whatever it is they're learning on, or math. They'll be doing that learning part, which usually is anywhere between 10 to 20 minutes, depending on the lesson. And then the students move into the do part. That is where they take what they just learned in the lesson and they apply it and they work with that information that they learned and they're practicing. So through guided practice, where the teacher's involved in walking them through the steps, independent practice where they're completely on their own and they're applying that learning that they just did. It could be through small groups with the teacher, or it could be with peer breakout groups where they're working together as peers, creating whatever this product is that they're supposed to come up with, whether it's a writing, a team task. They're using that information and showing their learning. Then the connect part is where they come back and they share their learning with the teacher, the class, or the group. And this allows teachers to clarify misunderstandings, to see what the students were capable of doing, so it will then direct the instruction. It could also be, for the connect part, it might be them submitting their writing for the assignment online, or it could be them reading their writing to the class or a small group. It's just going to depend on what the lesson is, but that connect part is really important. So these are the elements that go in to the different times of the day. And then just overall, the daily schedule for the whole school, but third grade will be attending every day of the week between 8:30 and 2 o'clock, with 2 to 3:30 being virtual office hours. And that's an opportunity where parents or students can meet with the teacher to get more clarification or get help or support, whatever it is that you might need. And what the teachers are going to do now is they're going to go into specifics about what that time between 8:30 and 2 o'clock will look like for third grade. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to them. And then third grade, just let me know when you want me to change the slides.
Okay. So our schedule for third grade, it's going to look similar whether we're on campus, whether we move into the hybrid model, whether we're at home learning. So you can see kind of the three different schedules, but if you look at them closely, they're all pretty much identical. So in third grade, we would start off in the morning at 8:30 with our morning meeting. That's kind of our time to just do our class community building, get a chance to share, things like that, to just kind of build that classroom culture, which will be really important when we go online. And then we will be starting our day with our academics with math. So if you'll notice, from like 9 to 9:30, we'll be doing our lessons. So as Ms. Kaler said, we'll be teaching the new concept for that week or that day, and then the students will have a time to practice. They'll be given binders next week with all of the math that they'll need to do and all of those things. So they will have that. It won't be all work that they'll have to do on the computer. So that's going to be really helpful, and we're excited about that. And then for the second half of that hour, from 9:30 to 10, we'll have a chance for math small groups. This will be a chance where we can just meet with several students to go over the work, check in with them, so they have that time for that differentiated instruction, so we can really work closely with them like we would in class. And then we'll have a break in the morning from 10 to 10:15. And then after that, so it's kind of like our recess. It'll be a nice chance for them to move around, whether they do something like a go noodle, or they can just take a break to get a snack, use the restroom, take their eyes away from the screen if they need. And then from 10:15 to 10:55 is the specials time for third grade. So that's the time where they'll be with art or library, Spanish, and this year now with Kind Kids Club, which they've had in the past, but it'll be more often with Miss Hines. And then after that, we'll come back on as a class. They'll still be on the same link for meeting, but we'll come back with them to do our writing lesson. And again, that's a time where there'll be some of it lesson with us, and some of that will be, they might be practicing whatever we've gone over. Then they'll have a chance for lunch from 11:35 to 12:05. And like Mrs. Kaler said, this is, we understand that might need to change a little for your family. So definitely just reach out to one of us, whoever your child's teacher is, if that's going to be something, and then that we'll know, and we can obviously be flexible and make it work for all of us. After lunchtime, we'll start our reading lesson, which again will look very much how math did, in terms of we'll start with a lesson and then move on to some time for the students to practice, as well as some small group time. And then we'll come back as a full group at 1 o'clock to do our SIPs and phonics. So this is just some more time to do some advanced third grade phonics work with the students. And then we will finish our day from 1:15 about 2, and that'll be all of our social studies and science units. And again, that will look similar, where we will be whole group, where we'll be doing a lesson, as well as having them have time to practice independently or do breakout rooms and small group stuff with other students. And then again, at the end of the day is our virtual office hours. So that's kind of the breakdown of our day. And then Ms. Kaler, if you want to jump to the next slide. So you'll see, this is what the students will see every day. This is Mr. Hillig's. And it'll be kind of just a set of slides that will kind of keep them on track with the day. So we'll go, as we go through the slides, you'll see, and it's in order of their day. So the students, when they log in the morning, after we're done with our morning, or when we're starting with our morning meeting, and it'll keep them on track. And you'll see we have timers in there and things like that. So if you want to skip to the next one, so we have just like a nice opening slide. The students have a visual schedule where they can see the day or what's on the schedule for that day, just like we would have in class. If you go in any of our classrooms, you'll see that schedule up on the board all the time, just so the students know what to expect and when. And then the next slide, some of us, we might have this as a nice reminder of just class rules and maybe some things for them to remember for our expectations. And then we'll have our morning meeting. What we're doing is within these slides, we will have where you see it says Google Meet. We'll have the link right there. So we're hoping that these slides just make it so that the students can be very independent. And the link, and they can just click on that and it'll open right into our Google Meet morning meeting. It's going to be the same same link for all day, so they don't have to remember new links or anything like that. So they'll click on that to come to our group morning meeting. And then on the next slide, and you'll see these slides mimic that daily schedule that we just looked at. So that we have the math lesson. Again, the links, the Google Meet links will be there. We'll have any other information they might need for the day with links if they need to, access any materials. It might have their assignment that they're going to be working on for that day. So again, it'll just keep them on pace. And then on the next one is our math workshop. And if you see up here, we have a timer set in. So they could click that timer if they're working with a small group, they'll know how long. If they're going to be working on some independent practice, then they'll have that timer to kind of keep them on track, which will be helpful so that they can become independent learners. And then on the next one, and again, we'll have a break, just a chance for them to kind of stretch, just like we would for recess. And then next, then they'll go for specials. And what's nice is all of our specials teachers will just jump into that Google Meet. So they won't have to, I know in the spring they would have, a separate art one and a Spanish one. But this year we found it would probably be just easiest to have the same one. That way the teacher will come into the meeting and the students will already be there. Again, just making it as simplified as possible. And then on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, they'll just have a different, it'll differ which they're art or Spanish. And then on the next one, okay, and then that will be their slides for whatever the specials is for that day. And then again, just as you can see, it's just following along with our schedule for their writing time. Again, the link is always there. That way, if they ever had to step away or something, they can just click right on the link and rejoin the meeting. And again, it'll show what they're going to be working on for the day, again, to help with that independence. And then the next, we have lunch. So again, this will be a time where they get to log out, go stretch, go eat their lunch, have some time to break from their learning. And then after lunch, we come into our reading. And as you can see, all of these are very, very similar. We want to just keep it as simplified as possible so that they know exactly what to do, where to find the information, so they can be successful. So then they'll have their reading lesson, and then after that, same, looks like just like our math workshop time, and it'll have their instructions for what they're going to be doing that day, and again with that timer to help keep them on track. And then we'll come back. This will be the SIPS phonics time is probably a one, aside from morning meeting, where it'll all be completely live, but it's a very short period of time. Again, we'll have opportunities if they miss it, where it's they can access it later. And then we end our day in social studies or science. So this is, like, we call them our GLAD units, you might hear your students say. So this will be the end of the day learning, and again with information of what they're going to be working on or what our lesson is for the day. And then at that point, our day would be over. We have a couple other things. So this might be a slide they have if we're doing a breakout group where they're going to work with a small group to collaborate and maybe come up with something together, and then we would come back as a whole group afterwards. to share out our thinking and our ideas. And I think that takes us to the end on the next slide. Oh, this is another one you might see LinkedIn. So I said how we would have like their learning for the day. So within those, whatever their lesson is, what they need to be doing, what they noticed for men. Again, just so that they know exactly what the expectations are and they can work through that independently. And then, yeah, and then a final just kind of motivation to congratulations on the end of the day. So I don't know if any of the other teachers wanted to jump in to say anything. Oh, and then Wednesdays, sometimes obviously we know that they look a little different. So we would have that fit in as well. I don't know if I missed anything, my third grade teachers, if you wanted to add in anything.
No? Okay.
Okay.
Sorry. So just a couple closing things before we move into the questions. We know that social emotional support and connectedness are very important, especially during this distance learning time and even when we get into the hybrid model. And with everything that's going on in the world right now, we want to ensure that our students are feeling supported and that they're connected to the school. So supports that we have in place for students will be the Kind Kids Club, which Miss Hines runs, and she will be going into every class every week for that social emotional learning. We have daily class meetings that the teachers will be running. There will be daily virtual office hours available for every class. We're going to include spirit weeks for the students. Ms. Shane will be doing school-wide mindfulness skills, and then Ms. Hines will also be available for counseling support for both students and parents. If you need support or resources, she can provide those to you. You just need to email her directly. For support for families, we will have virtual parent education nights. These will include everything from how you can best support your child in different subject areas to giving you support for how you can help them with the Google Meets format or Schoology, iReady, any of our forums that we're going to be using. And then we will also have virtual family nights that we're trying to get creative with to get families involved, even in the virtual setting. Teachers will be sending weekly email updates to you. I will continue to send bi-weekly Academy emails. Sometimes it's a little bit more often depending on what's going on. And then we're going to give opportunities for regular feedback through the teachers, through the school, and then through the overall charter. So you will see those opportunities coming up consistently throughout the year. And there will be more information on those in the coming days. And then how you can best prepare your child for this school year. There's a few things that we are highly encouraging you to do with your child. So one is to make a workspace at your house that's quiet and designated for learning, so free of as many distractions as possible. Your student will be needing this throughout the school year. Right now, they'll be needing it all 5 days since we'll be completely virtual when we get into the hybrid model. They will be in, if you choose to send them in, they would be in class 2 days a week and at home 3 days. So whatever that learning space is needs to have some kind of a desk or tabletop that they can work on with their computer, their notebooks, and all the materials they have, some kind of a comfortable chair for them to be in, just thinking about those things. So making it a space that is their own, that will be successful for their learning. Another piece is practicing wearing a mask and social distancing. Masks are required for 3rd grade and up, and including parents too if you're on campus. So having your child start practicing wearing a mask now and not touching it will make them successful by the time we get in on campus. The other thing is modeling that appropriate social distancing. They need to see parents do that. They're not going to know what 6+ feet apart looks like without seeing it. So working with them on that right now, when you go out, if you go to the store or other places, just working and talking them through it. Another important part is practicing washing our hands. They need to be washing their hands correctly, making sure that they're using soap and drying their hands. This isn't as big of a deal with the older kids. They pretty much know how to do that. They are recommending 26 plus seconds that you're washing your hands. So that's about as long as it takes you to sing the alphabet, count to 20 or 26 or higher. Just instilling those good practices, because without us working together, that's families and the school, when we go to open, if students aren't wearing masks, social distancing, and washing their hands, once COVID hits, it's going to be like a wildfire. So by taking these precautions and following the guidelines of what are put out there, that's going to help ensure that we can keep everybody healthy and safe, and we can keep the school open, which once we open, we would like to stay open. And then finally, we encourage you to begin talking to your student about what school is going to look like this year. It's going to be different. It's going to need to be flexible. We will be changing through the stages, but preparing them for that, students, it lowers their anxiety to know what's coming up or what possibilities are out there. So if you can take that time to talk to them and have an ongoing conversation about that, it will make them adjust to the situation, and when we go back into the class, much better. And then finally, also talking to them about friendships and having those positive interactions from others. We can't totally be in a bubble. Humans are social creatures. They still need to socialize, but we need to do that in a safe way by wearing our masks if we're in person and socially distanced, but still having those relationships, or if we're virtual, having virtual play dates. But so they are able to interact with their friends. So now we're going to move into the questions portion. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and Mrs. Donato is going to help lead us through some of the questions. And if you have a question, feel free to type it into the chat box on the side. And we'll go through as many as we can with the amount of time that we have.
Mrs. Kaler, we had some questions specifically about PE, because in other documents we have talked about PE being on Wednesdays. And I don't know if you or the teachers want to address kind of what PE will look like on those days, if it's still Wednesday, and what that looks like.
Okay, so PE will still be on Wednesdays. Wednesdays, keep in mind, will be the day that the students are pretty independent that whole day, with only one check-in for a class meeting with the teacher, because teachers, we put all the teachers' meetings into one day instead of throughout the whole week. So PE is how we will start off the day in all the classrooms on that day. So they will be given a link to some kind of, whether it's a workout video. Our middle school PE teachers actually building some videos for us. We have access to Sammy Circuit. We have access to some other stuff. So the teachers will be posting that within their slides for the day, and the students will just have to click on it. But it will tell them, or it might be a mindfulness, or like which is a little bit more of like practicing breathing in those different pieces. But that would be included in on those slides for that day.
And just to expedite, I'm going to clump some questions together, and I don't want to put the third grade teachers on the spot, but I think I'm just going to randomly pick your name, maybe to answer a question for the team. Ms. Monroy, parents are asking about the day, if the hours, like if, are they working from 8:30 to 2 and then they should be done? Would there be additional homework? And if it's too much of a load, how should they communicate to the third grade team about that?
I mean, I know for me personally, like if it's too much, definitely just reach out to me. I know the big thing is this is a tough time for everybody, and especially as a parent, I really get that. So I can only imagine if you come home or you are home and done working for the day and then having to do extra stuff with your kid. Just let us know if that's something that's not working for you, and we can definitely work with you on that. I don't want this to be any more extra stuff than it has to be already for you guys. And then as far as like, there might be some times where like if we're working on the kids are working on an assignment for social studies and it's a group thing, maybe they are bored after dinner and they want to work on it. Of course they can do that. You know, I'm not going to say, no, you have to be done with school at 2 o'clock. Like, that won't be the expectation. But we generally don't have a ton of like extra stuff outside of that school window because the kids need to really focus on being kids. But there's always opportunities to do more, if that makes sense.
Yes, thank you. The other question we're seeing about the academics and the flow of the day is about the Google links. So, Mr. Hillig, since we looked at your slides, how would you suggest that parents navigate? What do you think is the best thing for third graders, knowing that we're building in independence in third grade? Should they be able to navigate that link pretty much by themselves? Would you recommend they leave it on all day, or are third graders fairly capable of logging in and out? I know it's always going to be the same link, so they don't have to worry about that. But could you address that for the families, what you think?
Well, we truly believe that structure and routine is going to be very important, and setting those expectations at the very beginning of the school year. We do believe that keeping the links the same all day long will facilitate the independence. It seems that most of the students are familiar with clicking on a link of some kind, and we do want to expand on that. We would not recommend that students stay on one particular link all day. Reason being is because the students will be in different virtual places throughout the day. That could be a breakout room, that could be independent work, that could be small group work with their teacher. It could be something during virtual office hours. So their virtual space will be changing throughout the day. But it is our hope that in building slide decks and building a routine will facilitate that independence. And we don't believe at this point that there would be really any difficulty with that navigation. But of course, if there is, by all means, please, we will appreciate that feedback in letting us know what is working and what isn't, so that we can make those accommodations.
So obviously those breakout sessions will be controlled and directed by the teachers, obviously.
Definitely.
There are a couple of other questions I was going to go ahead and answer that are kind of some global questions. Two things. Some of our staff, and Mrs. Kaler can address this, will be on site, working on site, and some of our staff will be working under remote work agreements. That's between the teachers. We can't give you a number. That's personal information. However, we're just as diverse as the rest of you. My baby is 18. I know Miss Roy has a 3 or 4 year old little one. We all have different health concerns or issues, a level of comfortability, and the school is providing opportunities for teachers to be safe and work in an environment that meets their needs and their families' needs. So I know as a staff member, we're all very appreciative to that flexibility. I'm sure you'll be able to tell if you have a lovely background. You will see my Disney stuff. I will be on campus because I'm more productive there, and I don't have a little person who needs me or any concerns about that. So that's what I'll be doing. Another great question we had from a family member is about what kind of training and things have teachers and staff received about racial justice, inequality, and equity. And many of our staff members participated over the summer in groups at looking at our curriculum, examining our own individual potential bias, and really did a lot of thoughtful work over the summer. We are going to continue that work in those subcommittees. We are reviewing curriculum and other things like that. Our staff appreciates that we work in a place that is diverse, and we want all of our children to feel valued and safe when they're at NCS. So we have put in a lot of time, and if you would like to contact me directly, I can put you in touch with some of the staff members that have been spearheading that and some of the actions and more specific things we have implemented to address that. So please feel free to contact me individually if you have more specific questions. We did that NCS wide, so all of our middle school, high school programs, all of us participated in groups. And we had some very challenging, difficult conversations, but we trust each other, and it was a great opportunity for us to talk about those things. Double checking, I think we have hit all of the questions, whether it was in chat or out loud.
All right.
I
So
think we're good.
we are going to go ahead and conclude this meeting. We are going into our final one. We have 5th grade next. So thank you everybody for joining us. We hope you at least get an idea of what 3rd grade will be looking like to get started with this distance learning model. Please know that you'll be receiving a lot more information from myself. I'll be sending out a bunch on Friday. The teachers will be sending out a bunch more information for you and scheduling those appointments to pick up your materials in technology. And once again, this is going to take a group effort of our whole community working together through this, but know that you'll have opportunities to give feedback, and we're here to support you. You can email us and we will get back to you. That's the easiest way, since the campus is interesting to get on right now, and we won't see you in person the same way. But thank you. We really appreciate all that you're doing and for you joining us this evening. I will be posting all of this tomorrow, and I will also be emailing it to you. And I'm going to go ahead and turn off the recording, and I hope you guys have a great evening.